So we're going to change the hydraulic fluid in a Troy-built log splitter. It's getting about that time to start cutting wood. This is the 27-ton Troy-built. Oh, shoot, it's 10, 15 years old probably. I've never done the hydraulic fluid before. It was low. It's got some leaks in it. I'm going to be trying to address the leaks in just a second. But there's also seemed to have some water in it, so there's some condensation, and that is not good for it. So we're going to try to fix all that with some new fluid. In case you don't know, the hydraulic storage, the hydraulic reservoir is this what looks like the rear axle, this big box here. It stores quite a bit of hydraulic fluid, and then from there it's got your hoses that run from the bottom and then come all the way around and feed the hydraulics here. It's got a Honda engine on it, pump underneath the motor. The only way I could see to drain it was by using the bottom hose here. This is a hose coming out of the tank, the reservoir tank, a hose coming under and going into what I assume is the pump here. So I unhooked it right there. It's got a hose clamp, but just unhooked it there. It was pushed on there on that inlet there, and then let it drain well for quite a while. So what I did was put a jack under this corner here because I wanted to get this corner higher than that corner. That's where your outlet is. That's where the oil is going to drain to. And I also dropped the tongue of it on the ground. So it's pointing this way and this way. So it's kind of sitting at an angle. This is the highest point. That is going to be one of the lowest points, and it's just flowing that way. Seemed to work real well. I think I got quite a bit, if not most all, of the hydraulic fluid out of it. Maybe some still in the hoses up here, but I think quite a bit of it came out. So we've done that. So let's start putting that little hose back on, new filter on it, and start adding hydraulic fluid to it, plus some additive that is supposed to help with the leaks. So we'll hook that hose back up, tighten it down, and we should be in business, ready to add fluid. Tighten it down good, don't want any leaks. Of course, if your hose is leaking, if you've got a hole in the hose, you definitely need to address that. This is probably not going to be high pressure because all it is coming, it's bringing fluid from the reservoir into the pump. So this probably has no pressure on it, but it definitely needs to be tight or it will leak. You want to add just a little bit on your finger, just put a little bit of hydraulic fluid on that gasket there so it seats real well. And if the gasket plate where you're installing this is kind of dirty, you want to make sure that's clean also. At my local hardware store, I just picked this up. It's some real cheap hydraulic fluid, but the cheap stuff I think is good enough for a hydraulic splitter. And I'll put a link below to some inexpensive hydraulic fluid. Now your brand of log splitter, if it's not a Troy built like this, it may have a drain plug on the bottom of that reservoir. I felt underneath it. I did not feel one. I put my phone underneath to look. I did not see one, so that's why I had to drain from the hose. And like I say, it's probably easier and probably got more gunk out by draining from the hose than I would have had there been a drain plug in the bottom of it. So I'm not, I'm not upset that they don't have a drain plug. On this one, you feel it from the top here. I've got a funnel sitting in there. There's the top. There's the plug that goes in it with the dipstick. You want to make sure you keep you look at your dipstick. So let's put some fluid in it. It's pretty hard to do this without some sort of spillage. So I put a feed sack underneath it. We're going to start pouring. Gonna be slow go because it's pretty thick, and I have found to keep it from glugging and spilling, put your spout on top and not down on the bottom. If you pour from down here, it's going to just glug like that, and you do a lot of spillage. Start with your spout on top. So it's definitely showing on the stick right now. But I haven't cycled it. I haven't cranked it up. Definitely going to need to run some of that hydraulic fluid through the lines in the pump, up in these lines up in here. So I'm going to cycle it through several times to try to get the hydraulic fluid all the way through the system. And then I'll know when I go to check it, I'll know exactly how much I got in it. Also, make sure you're on a level surface. We're on level surface here. Well, when I checked it, it had definitely gone down quite a bit, which is good because I want to add this. This is from Lucas. I love Lucas products. This is their hydraulic oil booster and stop leak. This one had a lot of evidence of leakage around it, so I want to go ahead and get that addressed. I bought this for my Kubota. I've got a loader cylinder that's leaking, and I wanted to use this for that. A lot of good reviews on this. People swear by it, say it works great. So I'm going to put maybe a third of this in there. This is red and it's thick, a lot thicker than the hydraulic fluid. And like I say, people swear by this, love this stuff. Reviews are great on it. And I want to see if I can stop any leaks in this before they even start. Like I say, there was a lot of dirt clinging to this back here, which indicates a leak, and dirt clinging to the hydraulic fluid. So I don't know how bad if it has a leak, how bad it is. But this ought to help quite a bit. I'm excited to put it in my Kubota. I'm excited to see if it helps that lift arm, that lift cylinder, because I've got one that's leaking pretty doggone bad, and I believe this is going to stop it at least slow it down quite a bit. So if it needs to come up anymore, I'll top it off with hydraulic fluid, and we'll be in business. I'll show you a couple more things that I do that I think really helps the operation. When you get ready to split wood, you don't want any problems. So let me show you something else I do. I lubricate this travel area. Most of the time I'll just put some motor oil on it, maybe some used oil or something like that, and just drip it on it. I'm in the shop. I don't want it to drip off and land on my concrete floor, so I'm just going to spray it with this. It's got some rust on it. This will definitely help with that. And then let me crank it up and show you what else I do. I always extend the arm, and before each use, maybe it's a good idea to do this. Just give it a light coating of WD-40, something like that, some type of lubricant, and that helps that cylinder slide better. Probably helps the seals up in there, and just it's the way I always do it. And then with the cylinder extended, you can also get back up in here and spray your WD-40 on the travel area here. Also lubricate your controls up there where you operate the up and down motion or the in and out motion of the cylinder. That way it's smooth running. Mine got a little rust on it. Smooth makes it run smooth. As soon as it retracts all the way back, helps it to snap back quicker, and less strain on the engine and less strain on the hydraulic pump. So like I said, this wood splitter, I would think I've had it at least 15 years, and I bought it used. So lubricate your cylinder, lubricate that travel area, change the oil. I changed the oil in the Honda engine here. Change the oil. The hydraulic fluid is what we're doing here. And shoot, these things will last for a long, long time. May have to replace a hose, but they'll last a long, long time. You don't use one that many hours per year unless you're a commercial splitter of some sort. And if you are, you probably don't have a small splitter like this. You got something much larger. So this is the way to do it on that Troy-Bilt. Yours would be much like this. Again, yours may have a plug on the bottom of the reservoir, and if so, just undo that. If not, just take one of the hoses loose, one of the lower hoses, as close to the ground as you can get, and shoot, that thing will drain, especially if you jack it up in the direction you want it to flow. Again, I set the tongue on the ground. I just put this on the ground because I wanted everything to flow in this direction, but also in this direction. So it was high on this side. Everything drained fine. I think it will for you too. Just depends on where your hoses are or which hose you're taking off. Keep your machine running well. Drain that hydraulic fluid. If it sits there for a long time, especially if it's out in the weather or if you have extreme weather like we do here in the South, you're going to get some condensation in it. I know even my oil had definitely some condensation in it. So I could see some water in the oil. So I'm glad I changed the oil. Glad I changed this because this one definitely was showing signs of water in it, which is condensation. I'm sure that's where it came from. It's a closed system. That's the only place it could come from. So keep your machine happy. It'll keep you happy when it comes time to use it. I've got the links to the Lucas. I've got the links to some good hydraulic fluid, some cheap hydraulic fluid. They're on Amazon, and they'll ship it to you. And if you've got leaks, I definitely recommend that Lucas to you. Good stuff. All right, we're gone.